Now I have a fun job. My next job is introduce our first keynote speaker, a luminary in the world of science and innovation, the Honorable Geraldine Richmond. And I can say that when I was in Washington, one of the true pleasures I had was to get to know her a little bit and spend time in her company. And I can tell you, she is one tough lady. I was going to tell you some fun stories, but I decided not. You know, over wine we can talk. Ask me about. No, anyway, there are many fun stories, but anyway, a true champion for women in the workplace and women in general. So thank you so much for that. Jerry currently serves as the Undersecretary for Science and Innovation in the U.S. Department of Energy, where she oversees the Office of Science, the nation's largest federal sponsor of basic research in the physical sciences. Her responsibilities extend to DOE's applied R&D areas such as nuclear, fossil, renewable energy, carbon management, as well as energy system integrity. This work is crucial for advancing the U.S. energy capabilities and moving towards a cleaner, more sustainable energy solutions. Jerry is also responsible for overseeing the Department of Energy National Laboratories and all their facilities, which of course are the forefront national facility for scientific discovery and technological innovation in the United States. She personally dedicated her career to unraveling the mysteries of molecular structures and dynamics at liquid surfaces using laser-based and computational methods. Her work has had profound implications for environmental and technological advances. Her contributions in science have led her to membership in the U.S. Academy of National Sciences and the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. And her achievements have been recognized with prestigious awards, including the National Medal of Science in 2016, the Priestley Medal from the American Chemical Society in 2018, and the Linus Pauling Medal that same year. Beyond her groundbreaking research, Jerry has also been a tireless advocate for underrepresented groups in STEM fields. As the co-founder and director of COACH, she has helped more than 25,000 women scientists and engineers advance their careers, both in the United States and around the world. Her dedication to public service is also very impressive. She served 2 terms on the National Science Board as a presidential appointee, acted as the U.S. Department of Science envoy for the lower Mekong countries, and she's also held leadership positions in scientific organizations, including the presidency of the American Association for Advancement of Science and Sigma Chi. So please join me in welcoming Geraldine Richmond.
I couldn't be more excited to be doing anything today but being right here with all of you. There's nothing better. Nothing. Did I say nothing? I'll say it again. I just am so excited to be here. And in a room full of women, bright women, caring about the planet and the energy needs that we have, just brings me to tears. So I may tear up a few times, but that just shows you how strongly I feel about being here with all of you, and a few guys too. It's okay. Because you're here because you support us too. So thank you again, Sally, for the introduction. And also a special thank you to Stanford for hosting this, as well as the partners, MIT and Arizona State. That this is the 13th annual meeting. On the 13th means it's the luckiest day of the year to be holding this. And I know that every year that you get together, this serves a powerful reminder of the remarkable contributions that women are making in the energy realm, in the clean energy sector. And so that's why it's such a treat to be here. And I also know that you need to be meeting frequently because otherwise we lose track of each other and we don't have a chance to invite all the newbies in too, or to celebrate those that have been around for many years with all of us. So, as we're all here today to talk together, to share ideas, to strategize on taking this to reality, We also celebrate the 9 extraordinary women who have excelled in their respective fields. And I am really struck in reading through the materials, the profound impact that each of them have had on advancing the energy transition, climate resilience, and sustainability in the world. So let's give an early applause to all 9 of those. And I also say that I'm really proud of the Clean Energy Education and Empowerment Initiative, now in its 13th year, which was launched by the Department of Energy with a clear and necessary vision to close the gender gap in clean energy workforce by increasing the recognition, the participation, celebration, and the leadership of women in this area. Today's honorees and those that have been honored in the past are living proof that we're important, women in the energy sector are important, and our vision is becoming a reality. As Sally said, there are a few speed bumps ahead, and I like her analogy of wind in the sails, because if we're smart, we can get through these barriers. The women that we will be celebrating represent leadership and innovation in the clean energy, and their work inspires future generations of women to break barriers, overcome challenges, and drive change. Like many of you who've talked to women of another generation, the younger generation, that want to be scientists and engineers or are scientists and engineers, they're looking for a place where they can put their energy that can truly impact people and the world. And that's why I truly believe that this is a moment for us to continue to show them that their careers can be important and impactful in the energy sector, So in the spirit of this symposium, From Dreams to Reality, it's essential that we reflect on the broader context of women's participation in clean energy. And that's what Sally noted, so let me just build on a little bit more of that, because it truly is a field that's dynamic, and it's growing, and it's needed. Because the energy needs that we have coming forth before us in so many different areas, not just data centers, but also charging stations, EV charging stations, and the whole realm of different things that are coming together at the same time. We need this, because the countries can't survive without it. And people are increasingly realizing that, and we have to continue to convince the rest of them too. Clean energy is certainly the heart of the global transition to low-carbon economy, with the potential to create millions of jobs worldwide, yet despite this promise, women remain significantly underrepresented in the energy sector. So women, as Sally pointed out, women account for just 26% of the U.S. energy workforce in 2023, despite comprising 47% of the overall U.S. workforce. And in 2023, women held just 30% of jobs in the U.S. wind and solar power sectors. Women filled half of these new U.S. energy jobs in 2022, but 17% in 2023. With leadership positions, the gap is even starker. Women hold only 15% of the senior management roles in energy companies globally, and this imbalance is not just a matter of fairness and equity, it's a critical barrier that threatens our ability to go forth. Let me tell you a personal story. Through this coach organization, which has been funded by the Department of Energy since 1998 actually, we proposed a number of years ago that one thing that there was a real problem was with the DOE National Laboratories. And this is sitting as a professor at the University of Oregon, but also having been involved in DOE activities. In the early 2000s, there were no women lab directors, barely few below. But I needed some data in order to convince DOE that they needed to pay attention to this with some funding from DOE. So I decided to collect the data on the number of lab directors across the 17 labs, the deputy directors of the DOE labs, and the five or six other next leadership positions, which we'll call the ALDs. I went to the labs and I said, I'd like to have this data. And they all said, no. So they said, legally, we can't do that. So I went to the DOE websites, and I got the damn org charts on all 17 laboratories. And what did I find? If I found the org charts, I found J. Schmidt, B. Jones. You see? All initials. So then I had to Google to find out whether they were male or female, right? I spent months doing this. And then, but we were able to do it, and it showed how terrible the demographics at the DOE labs were. So finally, we convinced, this time Sherry Murray was head of the Office of Science, with a little help from a congresswoman from California, to make sure that the lab now, all of the labs, would make public their data on the website and the demographics. And we told them how to put them so that you could distinguish the researchers from the operations folks, for those of you that know. Today, they are up. And we now have several women directors of the national labs, and the women, and that's not just because of this, but whoever got religion got it, okay? And so I have to share that, because if it weren't for that success, I wouldn't have taken this position. So you can talk about the accolades, but what does not show on there is just how proud I am that the DOE finally gets it. And the Secretary Granholm absolutely gets it. But that means that we, in addition to in this room, we have a growing number of women that are taking leadership roles in our DOE national laboratories. It's not enough yet, but at least it's progress. As you all know, the barriers that before us have been with us for a long time, and they will continue to be with us, and the wind may be a little stronger against us. But I am convinced that we can do this, that we can move forward with the progress that we've gotten so far at this point. So despite these obstacles that we have in front of us, studies show that women are often more likely to advocate for community-driven energy projects, prioritize environmental justice, and push for inclusive decision-making processes in their leadership roles. Furthermore, women's leadership has been shown to positively impact company performance and also innovation. And this is why you being here and this organization is so important. And again, I'm so happy to be here. You know, through mentorship, networking, and recognition of our achievements thus far, C3E has helped to elevate the voices of women and amplify their impact in the clean energy sector. It's also important to notice that the gender gap is not just about the number of women in the workforce, but as I just noted, it's also in leadership roles. Also in those leadership roles. And we have got to get those numbers up. The participation of women at all levels is important. But leadership, we know, is key to shaping the future of clean energy, and women's leadership is especially crucial in ensuring that the energy transition is equitable and inclusive. And women are at the forefront of this, because they get it. They get it. Most of them. So research from the United Nations has shown that women are disproportionately affected by climate change. You know that, particularly in developing countries where they rely on natural resources for their livelihoods. In my career, I've had the opportunity to work in dozens of developing countries, over a dozen in Africa, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and the stories are heartbreaking. We need to be the model for how women in other countries can go forward. Because the challenges in those countries for women to get into leadership positions are staggering. But as I noticed recently in doing some work in India, and actually this was in Ghana, we have seen a huge change in the number of women going into leadership positions in many parts of Africa, and particularly in the energy sector, because that's what's controlling a lot of the things going on. So we need to always have our hand out to be able to help. But we also know that leadership is something that you have to work for and you have to mentor each other with. Since energy access is indeed a gender issue, even in this country, with women in low-income regions often bearing the brunt of the energy shortages, as we know, we see this in the news, women are equally positioned to advocate for policies and solutions that address these disparities. We see these women spearheading projects that increase access to renewable energy in off-grid communities, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, propose sustainable land practices and uses. This job has allowed me to visit with women and men in many of our tribal communities, both in the lower 48, but also many in Alaska and recently Hawaii. They know what is needed. We just need to give them a hand to help them move forward. And more than a hand, a recognition that we have left these communities behind for far too long. To think that this country has tribal communities that do not have running water and do not have electricity is astounding. And I know that all of you here feel the pain to think about that. And we have to turn that pain into solutions any way that we can help. Because we need to be the leaders going forward, and we need to bring others with us as we go forward. And not just the women, but the guys too, right? We have to bring them forward too. So we really, at the Department of Energy, we are very proud of the C3E initiative and fully support its endeavors to shape a promising future. And I am so honored to be here today and tend to stay connected, by the way, as we go forward. But I really want to notice in particular the C3E ambassadors, Maria Vargas, who leads the initiative for DOE. Does everybody know that? Yeah, okay. And Anna Sivkin. Where is she? She's right there. Is Marianne here? Marianne Walk? No. She's kind of busy. I'll see her next week. It's okay. Okay. And also, what we refer to as the Beyonce of hydrogen, Sunita Satchapal. And now she will blush and kill me. Sunita and I go back a very long way. She was an undergraduate of mine when I was on the faculty at Bryn Mawr College many, many years ago. So to be able to reconnect with her over all these years and see how much she has pushed hydrogen to the forefront is so delightful. So, but now let's turn our attention to the extraordinary women who will be receiving these C3E awards. I want to emphasize how critical it is to recognize their efforts and recognize the efforts of everyone that's here. Each of these women has made significant contributions to clean energy across many sectors and industry. And they are not only advancing the clean energy transition, they're also paving the way for other women and new generations to follow in their footsteps. Could I have those women please stand? And you'll hear more about them later. But I just really want to finish by saying congratulations to the honorees. Your accomplishments are truly inspiring. And your impact is being felt widely through your organizations or communities, but across the clean energy economy. The work that you do every day and the work that you all do every day is so important, impactful, and necessary. So let's go, girls, all right?
I'm Brit-eyed, and I'm an ambassador. And we have so many wonderful young women. I got to meet a bunch last night. Just your career advice for the women that are coming out of their graduate programs or early in their career. What do you have advice for them around working in this important area?
I think going through graduate programs is not necessarily a confidence-building exercise. So I think the most important thing to do is first make sure to build your confidence, okay? So the advice that I give for building your confidence, because it's hard and it takes a long time, is to take risks, right? If you're always doing the same thing over and over again, you're good at the same thing over and over again. But you step out of your comfort zone, and it may be just a little step out of your confidence zone. Try it, and you win, and you then take on a more difficult challenge. But again, think about how you can step out a bit from what people might think you should do, and try to build that confidence. A support system around you to help build that confidence. Because you need the support system. You need a coach, a sponsor, and a mentor, right? You need someone who advocates for you. You need somebody who coaches on the little stuff and the big stuff and the writing the proposals and your CV. And then, hopefully, a long-term mentor. So those would be probably my top ones, because I often think that getting out of graduate school is really tough. It certainly was for me. And I think one other thing is to decide what your values are. What do you value? And then develop a strategy going forward that's based on those values. Don't worry so much about what your parents might have thought you should do, or some other folks with a different political leaning think you should do. Think about what your values are and follow those values. And keep in mind that those values may change with time, and be ready to adjust. But what you don't want to do is get to be 50 or 60 and decide, damn it, I lived somebody else's life, right? You want to live your own. So anyway, that's the answer.
Okay, we have time for some more questions.
Hi, my name is Raina Hilden. I'm an undergraduate at Arizona State University. So I would love to know, especially as someone who is just starting to get into a career in energy, what would you consider the most important thing that you did for yourself to be as successful as you are now?
Whoa. I think it goes back to what I just said. I took some risks. At those days, right, you're only 2 females in a calculus class of 400 guys, and those were the days you could smoke in the classroom, so that was really gross. But just took some risks around what things I chose to do. Chose to work in a laboratory that had only had men in the past. In fact, the lab director said, I don't think we should have her in the lab because she can't handle a gas cylinder. And, I didn't see guys picking up that gas cylinder and throwing it over their shoulder, right? The smart person puts it on on wheels. So it's just, be willing to take risks and then just work on your confidence. The other thing, too, the challenge that I had when I was at your stage of my career, and then on into graduate school, was because I was at Berkeley, because I was around a lot of really bright guys, my confidence level for how good my science was, even though it was really good, and I was working for a great guy, my confidence wasn't very good. But I knew I was really good at communicating. I was really good at telling people things about science that anybody could understand. But at that time in my life, I thought the science side would dwarf any of that communication. And as my career grew, they came to match up. And so I wish I would have recognized earlier that it's not just one metric that helps you decide, that helps you become successful in a career, but it's also other skills that you have that you should build on those strengths too, whether it be, networking or even sports, because sports can build confidence. But think about how you can, anything that you feel somewhat weak at, think about while you grow that, think about the other things you could be growing in the meantime. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Really appreciate that. My name is Shuping Li. I'm from California ISO. My question is, what's your general idea about decarbonization and reaching zero carbon for our society? Do you see hydrogen, how does hydrogen battery come into play? What's the ultimate path in your mind to that zero carbon future for us?
Well, I think Sunita could answer this much better than I. But on the other hand, I think that we have to be diversified in as we go forward, because, for example, hydrogen for transportation or hydrogen with with electrolysis and as batteries and so on, we have to be able to not just pick one route, but we have to pick a number of routes, because some will be more successful than others depending upon the part of the economy that you're trying to build up. But we do need to make people more aware that hydrogen is not like the Hindenburg, that it's not something to be scared of. So I think that from the public perspective, we have to work a little harder on that to get the market up with that. Did I pass, Sunita?
Okay, one more.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Andy Kleisner. I am a co-founder and co-CEO at an energy startup serving emerging markets. Super excited to be here today. Just quickly, I found by the time young women in STEM, which is including myself, by the time they reach university, there's already a gap. I'm a fighter, so I fought my way to catch up to everybody, but how is the DOE intervening sooner, in elementary school and things like that, to really get women as excited, as supported at the same level in STEM as young men?
Well, that's a great question. Unfortunately, DOE can't do education. We're sort of prohibited to do sort of K through 12 things. But that said, what I think that we have to work harder on is retention. So the kids we have to get them excited, but once they're excited and they're 16 years old and they want to do science, let's not kill them off, okay, by going to universities, right? Our top universities are the worst in terms of retention of students in science. And so we have to do better, all institutions, because the retention is what we really are terrible at. So DOE has a number of different programs to help in that retention realm, which is, I think, and especially in the energy sector.